people over there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, introduce yourself to us. Who are you? I'm talking to our presidential candidate from Nigeria. So go ahead and tell us who you are, since Andy Miller's name is on your thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to take care of that. Yeah, my name is Samuel Okey Mbonu, and I am from Nigeria, and I'm a presidential aspirant
Okay.
for the 2019 election on the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay. So one of the questions that we have, and you're coming to the Bay Area in a few days, Saturday the 24th, correct?
Yeah, certainly, yes. I'll be in the Bay Area less than 36 hours from now. So
And you're currently in Los Angeles. You're having a meet and greet this evening, correct?
Yeah, well, I actually had a meet and greet last night, but I have a series of meetings with people in the community for the rest of today.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So why are you running for the presidency of Nigeria?
Oh, that's a great question. An obvious one. Well, I think we can all agree that the Nigeria that we are seeing today is certainly a far cry from the Nigeria that we expect to see in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
We have been exposed to some pretty incompetence at the leadership level,
Mm-hmm.
and everything really revolves around leadership, because at the end of the day, if we don't have competent leaders
Mm-hmm.
with global credentials in this
Mm-hmm.
21st century, then we basically going back to the Stone Age. And if we have to go back to the Stone Age, then we should all have a say in the matter.
Okay.
So I am running as a 21st century new leader with absolutely no ties with the political leaders of Nigeria today. And I bring the kind of global credentials that will take Nigeria to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say are your past leadership records that qualifies you to run for the presidency?
Okay. Well, I have a background in law. I trained at Washington, D.C., University of District of Columbia. I have a JD in law. And since after that, I served in government in Maryland, in the suburban Washington, D.C. metro area.
Okay.
I got appointed as a commissioner, one of the first non-natives, and certainly the first African-born to be appointed to that role. And I served as commissioner for housing and community development in that Washington, D.C. suburb. And then after that, I went into the private sector. I was in the housing development industry and the mortgage banking industry. And then ultimately, I developed a consulting and strategic advisory side of my professional bio, where I basically became an advisor to many United States agencies.
Okay.
And also private corporations. And I've worked very closely with the United States Congress of the Africa Subcommittee, providing expertise on the policies that the United States Congress formulates about sub-Saharan Africa. I've also had significant opportunities to provide consulting services to U.S. institutions such as the Woodrow Wilson Center for International for Africa International Studies in Washington, D.C. Also, I provided consulting for them.
Okay.
And then I've also provided consulting at the Organization of American States right here in Washington. And I have experience and the breadth of expertise that goes very widely in terms of policy, both United States policy toward Africa, and then also actual government experience in the United States. And nobody running for office in Nigeria today brings the level of credentials that I bring and preparation that I bring to this role. And I hope that once we get in there, we're going to take Nigeria to the next level. We don't have a choice but to gravitate towards competent 21st century leadership. And only one person right now can provide that. I know there's a few other people who are trying to be president of Nigeria, but we're not going backwards, we're going forwards.
Mm-hmm. Got you. So, of all the things that you described, all the positions and experiences you have, which one of them, in your opinion, has prepared you for this position?
Okay. Well, when I got appointed as a commissioner in Maryland, it was a political appointment, and that role placed me in an agency of government that was charged with actually not just developing housing and related infrastructure in Maryland, but actually also developing the policy that empowers a community, in this case, the particular community where I was serving. Mm-hmm. And that involved studying and making policy that would carry the entire community along and meeting the needs of the economy, where everybody becomes a productive contributor to the community that they live in, job training, business opportunities. All of these things were incorporated in my agency. And if I have done this in the United States, in an environment where the level of scrutiny is at the highest level in the world, mm-hmm. then doing it in an environment like Nigeria will basically be bringing first world standards to an emerging country. And no one running for president in Nigeria today is as qualified as I am or have direct experience making policy in the United States, in a first world environment than I.
So did you grow up in Nigeria? Tell us a little bit about that. And did you serve in any form of leadership in Nigeria while you were there?
Okay. Yeah, I did grow up in Nigeria when I came to the United States at a fairly young age. And so my professional training, my education is mostly in the United States. But even in the United States, I became very interested in whatever it would take to uplift the Nigerian American community. And so I was the co-founder of one of the most influential Nigerian American community organizations, the very first one, which was called the All Nigeria American Congress, which was designed to advocate for Nigerians across the United States. Mm-hmm. And then I became the first elected president of that organization. And after that, I also became a co-founder of the first think tank in DC that was focused on Nigeria and Sub-Saharan African matters. It was called the Nigerian American Leadership Council. And he personally recruited some of the most influential people with interest in Nigeria and Africa policy, not just on the Nigerian side, but also on the American side. I recruited people that have served in government in the United States at the presidential level to be strategic advisors for that council. And it gave me an opportunity to actually engage with U.S. policy toward Nigeria and to help to shape that policy. And I have been featured prominently on some of the most powerful media in the United States and across the world. Been on MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, VOA, and providing policy advice and guidance to the United States institutions, government, and private sector how to engage with Nigeria. So I've done my fair share to uplift Nigeria. And over the past few years, I've also been spending quite a bit of time in Nigeria because I had options of whether to continue to build out my professional profile in the United States or whether to do something in Nigeria. And after careful thought, I realized that the need was greater in Nigeria. And all I seek to do is to lay the foundation for the new Nigeria. Gotcha. And that's why I'm interested in doing this in Nigeria.
Okay. So I have a very important question from Uzo. And she says, considering how corrupt the politics in Nigeria is, with a long history of rigged elections, bribery, and corruption, what chances do you think you have to overcome these setbacks and have a free and fair election?
Yeah, well, I think Nigeria is evolving even as we speak, by the day. There's been a lot of improvement in the political process as far as the voting is concerned. And the traditional rigging methods that were used in the past to rig elections in favor of one candidate or the other,
yes,
are now things that we have developed technology to watch our votes and to have the right people on the ground. And we're going to focus the eyes of the world on Nigeria during this election. This is actually going to be a global campaign for the soul of Nigeria. And what we're doing is that we're going to checkmate any attempts to rig this election. And and whoever attempts to rig the election in any particular region of Nigeria, whether it's in Lagos or Naija or Kano, we're going to hold them personally accountable in the eyes of the world. And if they have compromised themselves and taken money to compromise the results of the vote, we will hold them accountable in front of the world. There won't be any place to hide, because we come in with the might of the world. We come in for a free and fair election, but we come in with the might of the world. Now, for you.
Okay. So, given the ethnic and religious divide in the country, how do you plan on handling that?
It's actually a very interesting time that we see in Nigeria today. I've been back and forth in Nigeria every year for the past 3-4 years, evaluating the space. And what we see is that the religious divide is not as substantial as people think, because the issues that we are going to take care of when we come into Nigeria are issues that will benefit the north as well as the south of Nigeria. When we finally deliver electric energy in Nigeria, which has been impossible for the people running Nigeria over the past 20, 30 years to deliver, it's going to benefit the north, it's going to benefit the south. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what ethnic region you're in. What we are actually bringing is 21st century governance. When I go to Nigeria these days, I don't see ethnicity. I don't even see accents. Just like when you run into a Nigerian overseas, like in the United States or Europe, everybody looks the same and sounds the same. Yeah. And one of my recent trips to Nigeria, a young lady got introduced to me in Abuja, and she said she was from Naija State. And I couldn't tell the difference between someone from Niger State and someone from Anambra State, or someone from Oyo State. She looked the same to me, sounded the same to me. She had a jeans and a t-shirt or something. And the way I look at Nigeria today, I'm not beholden to any region of Nigeria. I'm about solutions. I'm bringing solutions into Nigeria, and everybody recognizes solution when they see it. When we deliver 24-hour electricity in Nigeria and deliver water, critical infrastructure, and deliver security to stabilize Nigeria, it wouldn't matter where anybody is or what language they speak or where they worship. Worship is a private thing. We actually started to develop significant following in places like Kano, because some of the things that we are seeing based on our surveys on the ground, we're seeing following from young people all across Nigeria. So we know that this is the beginning of a one Nigeria. It's going to be a country of one.
Okay. So, I mean, a lot of people will say that I'm not a political person, but I'm a human being, and I have a lot of concerns about the way the nation has been going since I lived there and since I left there. And we've had so many different leaders that have promised us much of what you're saying right now, and it seems to have gotten worse. So how can we trust you? How can we believe you? What happens when you make it into office? How are you going to differentiate yourself from the other leaderships that have gone before you and now? I mean, what is the first visible sign that we'll see and continue to see when you make it into office?
Well, Queenkay and the rest of the Nigerians watching from all across the globe right now, I can tell you there is a huge difference with someone like me running the affairs of Nigeria and anybody else who is interested in being president of Nigeria at this time. Because there's a difference in competence levels, there's a difference in training, and most importantly, I have done things in the world stage that no Nigerian leader has done in the world stage. It doesn't matter whether they're from the north or whether they're from the south. What they are doing now is they are probably doing the best that they can, the best they know how, but their best is mediocre to the rest of the world. And what I'm bringing in is an opportunity for Nigeria to rise beyond mediocrity. Nothing else matters. What matters is excellence. And we are coming in to set standards in the economy, standards in the society, and Nigerians are not going to, they might find it hard to sort of imagine what these differences are going to be, but they're going to see these visible differences, in the cities of Nigeria and the countryside of Nigeria. They're going to see things that they cannot imagine because, frankly, because Nigeria has slid backwards continuously for the past 20 years, a lot of people in Nigeria cannot imagine that there was a time Nigerian communities actually had landscaped environments. People, stood on the streets and got into paying taxes, taking them around. And the people who are in charge, who are running Nigeria at this time, also don't have the experience of how to do that, how to deliver that. They may want to, they may be interested in, but interest is not sufficient. Competence, knowledge, expertise, and actual experience that I bring here cannot be matched by any level of competence or interest to do a certain work that any of the other leaders in Nigeria have. So we're going to prove it in the doing.
All right. So what kind of grassroots effort or feet on the street, like how deeply are you entrenched with the people of the various communities within the countries and all the states in Nigeria?
Yeah, when we have a team on the ground in Nigeria, and I do go back and forth, but our team in Nigeria is pretty much pan-Nigerian. And so in the coming weeks, perhaps in the coming weeks to 30 days, 45 days, we're going to have offices in all 36 states of Nigeria. Okay. And so we don't have a problem with reaching people in any particular region of Nigeria. It's one country. We own that space. We can go to any corner of Nigeria. We have relationships on the ground that are developing by the day. And in the next few weeks, it's going to be a momentum. We have people who are willing to contribute, not just money, but we have people who are willing to contribute their time, their energy, their ingenuity, their technical knowledge. And there's a lot of technical knowledge in Nigeria, a lot of very bright young people. We have people in the entertainment industry. We have people potentially coming in from Nollywood who are all seeing the possibility, the future that is about to unfold. And so all of these people, regardless of whether they're from Kano or Lagos or Umuahia or Owerri or Ibadan or Abeokuta, they are ready to jump on board and get the new Nigeria rolling. So we have people evolving by the minute.
Gotcha. So I have a question from Sarah. She's in Holland. So you have an international community right now, and they're all very interested in knowing what you plan to do. Her question is, the civil service is structurally disorganized and lacks professionalism. How do you intend to solve that issue, keeping in mind that the whole population cannot be retrenched at once?
Well, the civil service in Nigeria over the years became compromised because of the lowering of standards and also because of the corruption that ate into the public space. But there are ways to deal with that. We have, without regulations and enforcement of regulations, any country will face substantial corruption because people get tempted to compromise. But we have tried and tested means of checking the delivery of service to the people. If, for example, because I've been in government on the side at the policy-making level in the United States, I know all of the structures that are built into government in order to be able to ensure that service is delivered as it is promised. If, for example, somebody has a $100 million, 1 billion naira contract, to build out something in Nigeria. There's also things built into the structure of that contract, whereby there's a certain amount of inspection that is needed at every stage of that project. Now, people in Nigeria may not be used to this enforcement, but that's what I know because I've served in a first world environment. And at each stage, somebody, one person in government puts their name on the line. They're becoming accountable to certify that certain work has been done. And if that person wrongly certifies that a certain work is done, they make themselves liable personally to my government. So if you're going to take a 5 million naira contract to sign off that work that was supposed to be done is not done, then you are personally liable. And at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to be prosecuted. You are the one that's going to go to jail. And you are the one that's going to be stripped of your resources. And I would place the blame of the world on Nigeria, so there won't be a place to hide. You're not going to all of a sudden decide to move $100 million to the Seychelles Islands or to Dubai or something, you know, where you think nobody can find it. I will be in the eyes of the world with the resources and the relationships that we have, that I have, and we have. Mm-hmm. We're going to put all that into the mix, and nobody is going to compromise, you know, to a point where it's going to affect the lives of hundreds of millions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and Sarah also from Holland wants to know, can you please give some practical examples of those things that you have done and who benefited from those things?
Well, people have benefited from my roles pretty much across the world, really, not just in Nigeria and the United States, but across the world. Because when I served in office here in Maryland, in the United States, the people who lived in the region where I served definitely benefited directly from the impact of the policies that I helped make or helped enforce. Now, in the Nigerian American community, they also benefited from the advocacy that I was involved in at the national, international level, including advocating for our community in front of the institutions of the United States Congress, United States institutions such as the Congress or other agencies. And also in Nigeria, some of the fallouts of the role that I played here are of direct benefit in Nigeria, because when policies are made in the United States, they have far-reaching implications. And those far-reaching implications affect the lives of ordinary people in different regions of the world. In this case, Nigeria, because that's where my focus and interest was. Mm-hmm. And one example is during the Boko Haram crisis. When I was on national TV and meeting with U.S. institutions regarding the kidnap of the girls from Chibok, and this is publicly available, you can find that on Google, you can find that I was the first to advocate for a multi-national force of Nigeria, Chad, Niger, Mali, and countries that are in the northeast region of Nigeria, mm-hmm. to pull together and form a common force to confront and stem the tide of the Boko Haram incursions into Nigeria. And I'm going to say it loud and clear here that my policy proposals was adopted by the United States and by the European Union.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here with the authority of somebody who has put forth a policy that the entire European Union and the United States followed and advised Nigeria and the neighboring countries to form that unilateral force. And that was the first time that Boko Haram got contained to the extent that they got contained at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, ultimately, the leadership fell behind because of their lack of political will, mm-hmm. leadership in Nigeria. But I stand tall today as the first person to advocate that policy, and this is well known all over the world.
So, Sam, the question I have for you now: how do you intend to stop these issues with the Boko Haram terrorist acts, as well as the ethnic cleansing, if you will, that has been going on for the past several years?
All right. Well, we have developed comprehensive strategies that I might not be at liberty to discuss here. What I can say is that the only reason that the security situation in Nigeria remains what it is, whether it's Boko Haram or the clashes, with the armed, herdsmen and the local farmers, is because of a lack of political will to take care of the situation. Because it all starts with the political will. There are things that can be done. There are policy changes that can be done to secure everybody and to make everybody feel free and safe in the Nigerian space. It's a country for everyone, and nobody has the monopoly of deciding that one side of the country may be able to benefit more than another side of the country because they have perhaps interest in any particular thing. So I love all my Nigerian regions. It doesn't matter whether I don't see the regions anymore because I spend so much time outside of Nigeria that when I come to Nigeria, I don't see regions. And whatever policies that I put in place, policies that are going to flow from the top down and benefit Nigeria. Every region of Nigeria deserves to have stable security. And we have the tools to deliver that stable security. I cannot get into those details here, but we have the tools.
Man, I'm definitely going to get you in touch with Sarah. She's asking some very serious questions. Do you plan to go to Europe on your meet and greets?
As a matter of fact, I'm very glad that folks like Sarah are tuning in from Europe because some of my consultants are here, so they can see the depth of this campaign. Like I said, this is a global campaign. At some point, we're going to make it stop in Europe because what we are doing is we are building a global movement of Nigerians from everywhere, inside of Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. And Europe is certainly one of those areas where there's a substantial population of diaspora community. And as a matter of fact, we already have some of our team people in Europe who are building out this movement. What I will do is have Sarah perhaps reach back out to you or through some other information that we're going to be providing.
I'll make the connection.
Yeah, because we have structure right now in Germany that is spreading out to Italy, Poland, Austria, France. And all of these are going to have opportunities to engage and be a part of our campaign because this is a global movement for the soul of Nigeria. So we welcome people like Sarah. We're going to make that trip. Hopefully, Sarah will be one of the ones to host us in where she lives, Holland, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm not going to be able to answer or ask everybody's question, but here's another one from Dennis. And he says he doesn't expect one person or one president to fix all of Nigeria's problems in 4 or 8 years. But can you tell us 2 things that you will get done in the first 4 years that is the most important to the country of Nigeria?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to tell you 3 things that are the focus of that will be the focus of my government, and there are plans in place for that. The first thing is energy, as in electric energy. Because right now, well, before I go into the details, I'm going to say the 3 things. The first thing is electric energy. The second thing is water. And the third thing is security. So these 3 things are the focus of my presidency for the next 4 years. And because we understand the limitations of having such limited electric energy in Nigeria, where the average home or business in Nigeria enjoys only about 5 hours of electricity. Now, when we roll out another 15 hours of electricity in Nigeria, to turn this into about 24 hours of electricity, the economy itself will not just double or triple, it will quadruple. The economy of Nigeria today is at a $500 billion economy with only 4 or 5 hours of electricity. Once we get the next 15, 14 hours of electricity, we're going to have an economy that is 3 to 5 trillion. And there's going to be so much new businesses that will spring forth because so much depends on electricity. Service industries, storage of food, the agro industry, all of this will revolve from enhanced electricity. And then, of course, water is such an issue that is actually unimaginable what Nigerians cope with. Waterborne diseases because of the lack of water in most homes, in most cities. Now, that is something that we have a tried and tested system. I've been a part of the United States where those things actually work. And we're going to make sure that is delivered. And then the internal security, all it requires is political will to take care of that. There are solutions in place. It just requires political will. It requires a government that is a listening government, that is accountable to the people, that looks at individual Nigerians. Like I looked at a young lady from Niger State and I couldn't tell what she was. I couldn't tell whether she was from Niger State or Anambra State or Oyo State. All that mattered to me was that she was Nigerian. She deserves to benefit from a new Nigeria. So those three items are our focus area.
Somebody has a positive statement. Queenkay, I'm sure you met him already or spoken to him in LA. He leads a big movement over there. He's one of our champions. And he says, in listening and assessing the candidate, there are quite some refreshing views on the way forward. I have another question from Chichi Jack. She's also into local politics here in California, in the northern, a little bit north of here, or south of here a bit. And she says, what is your plan to move Nigeria forward, including funding? Now, I know you've talked about some of it, but where are the funds going to come from to make some of these things you're talking about a reality?
Yeah, well, one thing that we have developed it just about perfectly is we have relationships. I personally have relationships with the investment community across the United States and across the world. Okay. And a lot of the areas that we're going to put our energy and our focus actually are going to be private sector driven. Now, it takes a certain level of comfort for a company to invest $1 billion in an economy. They're going to need to trust the political leadership. They're going to know that the standards of global best practices will be applied. And then, of course, they need to make money as well, because capital is a coward. Capital does not go where insecurity exists. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create an environment where the private sector is going to come marching down to Nigeria for all these investments. Not all of them have to be anchored by the government, but the government will have to do its part. There are some areas that we probably provide some sovereign guarantee. So we have corporations that are literally on standby to have a stable government in Nigeria to come in. That's one. And two is that the tax base in Nigeria right now is very weak because the government essentially doesn't know what a lot of people do. There's a lot of businesses in Nigeria that are unknown and unregulated. The $500 billion economy is just what is known. The
unknown
economy, yeah, it's probably double that. You know, you travel to commercial areas like Anambra State that doesn't have an oil economy, you find a state that is thriving and one of the most prosperous states in Nigeria. And this state has substantial numbers of unregulated businesses that are thriving and are keeping the state afloat. Perhaps one of the states that pays salaries on time and everybody pretty much is able to survive one way or the other. Now, when we expand electricity in Nigeria, the tax base will also grow, so that if the government is reckoning maybe $100 billion in taxes today, we have opportunity to bring in $800 billion in revenue from taxes of a newly expanded economy. And remember, we're going to have an economy that is 4 times what it is today. It's the largest economy in Africa that is operating only at about 10 to 15% of capacity right now because of lack of power.
Okay.
So really slow down, yeah.
Got you. I have another question from a Bay Area resident, Christina Amechi, and she says, what will you do for differently from other people who have served in the same position you're applying for on improving the equality, separation of religion and government, improving accountability on country resources, and cleaning the irregularities on government services?
Okay. As far as religion goes, Nigeria is actually a secular state. There's no official religion. Everybody is free to go worship where they wish to or in the privacy of their homes. And the country is going to continue to be a secular state without the obvious influence of any religion. Now, having said that, we also know that Nigerians are very religious people, spiritual people. Mm-hmm. And by all means, they could worship in however way they want to worship. We're not trying to help God. You know, God has actually given everyone the tools, both as individuals and as nations, the tools to take charge of their environment. He didn't give them tools to kill each other. He gave them tools to take charge of their environment, hands and legs, and the brain. And we know that what's inside our brains is more important than what's on the ground by way of resources, oil, gold, all those minerals. Mm-hmm. If you watch today, the wealth of the world in terms of new wealth, coming in new billionaires have shifted from those who use things on the ground to make money to those who use their head to make money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the latest edition of the Forbes magazine, all of the current billionaires include people who use their heads to make the wealth that they have. As a matter of fact, there's no one from Saudi Arabia there because, you know, back in the days, it used to be people from Saudi Arabia had a lot of resources. They would sell on the world stage, oil and all that. But today, the wealthiest man in the world is the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and it's all about what is in his head. You know, followed by Bill Gates, also what's in his head. So basically, we have an opportunity to remake Nigeria and utilize the capacity of the smarts that are in people's heads. Mm-hmm. Nigerians are some of the smartest, most ingenious people in the world, and we will just give them the enabling environment to unleash their talents, you know, their capacities, you know, whether it's developing software, whether it's in the entertainment industry, where Nigeria has such an incredible rhythm that is the most rhythmic place in the world. Mm-hmm. All of these resources that will sell on the world stage. I will add to that also by saying that there was a pop group called ABBA from Sweden back in the old days. That entertainment group was making more money for Sweden than the automobile manufacturing company called Volvo, which I'm sure a lot of people know about the Volvo automobile. Mm-hmm. The group ABBA was bringing in more foreign exchange into Sweden than the major Swedish company called Volvo Automobiles. So it's all about what's in people's heads. And when we remake the civil service, there'll actually be very little need for some of the corruption and compromises to fester, because a lot of things will not actually require direct interaction with the government. Mm-hmm. Companies can be registered online. As you know, because some of us are exposed to life here in the United States, you don't need to go to the government office to register a company in any state. 50 states in the United States, you can register a company in 10 minutes. Yes. You go online. We're going to set up all those systems in Nigeria. People don't have to. It's amazing that Nigeria has a corporate affairs commission for the entire country. I think there's maybe in Abuja, maybe 1 or 2 branches across the country. And people have to physically go there to register a company. People physically wait 30 days or so, or 2 weeks or whatever, to register a company when they could be in business in 24 hours. We're going to deliver this opportunity for people to go into business for themselves in less than 24 hours. and they're going to be able to grow their talent, and they're going to be able to maximize the potential of what their head can come up with.
Wow. So many of the people that are tuning in are live abroad. Maybe I would say about 80%, maybe 85, are in the diaspora, out of Nigeria, in the US, UK, rest of Europe, and, probably some of the Caribbean islands. So many of us have been living, like from me, I've been living out of Nigeria for 25 years now. I have kids here. Most of our kids are not familiar with living in Nigeria. I've gone to Nigeria several times with my kids, my family, because, I like to go home and connect with my relatives. A lot of people haven't been home ever since they left, because of the security, because of the concerns, the different things that plague our nation, health and, roads, people get into accidents and die, unfortunately. So many different things that you think about that make you change your mind. No, I'll just go on another vacation. You know what I mean? So that's one. Some of us would like to move back home. Some of us would like to, even if we don't move back home, some of us would like to do business back home. But there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of fear and trepidation. And then some things are even held back by the government. So it makes it difficult to A, visit, B, do business, to put money into the economy, and even bring your kids back home. And some people that are not Nigerians would love to come to a thriving Nigeria and enjoy the economy and but so many things make it impossible or restrict that. What do you have to say about those things?
Well, welcome. I would say they should get ready to be welcomed into the new Nigeria under our new leadership, because what we are bringing, what I'm bringing, is global best practices. Now, even though Nigeria happens to be about a $500 billion economy, is actually operating at about 10 to 15% of its true value. And there are so many areas in the Nigerian economy that have not been tapped at all. Let's say, for example, tourism. You know how many Americans, both African Americans and European Americans, that are curious about Nigeria. Now, there are some states in Nigeria that can develop an entire economy on tourism, but they don't know some of the things they need to do. What we'll bring is that we'll bring that knowledge and we'll bring that expertise to provide a direction to each of the states. As a matter of fact, we anticipate a situation where the various states, the 36 states, are going to be in competition with each other because of the programs that we're going to roll out. Mm-hmm. And all we need to do is to keep the infrastructure in Nigeria, the roads, the energy, to a point where when people come into Nigeria from outside of Nigeria, they will not miss the comfort of where they came out of. And once we deliver that, we're going to see both people who have never been to Nigeria, whether they have Nigerian parentage or not, but certainly people who have Nigerian parentage, they could come to Nigeria and feel the comfort. And as these people come in, they bring value. They bring spendable investment, dollars or euros or pounds, mm-hmm. and they actually can establish quite a number of people that I know are braving it to come into Nigeria, and mostly on the diaspora side. But we will have an environment where people, regardless of whether they're coming in from Australia, mm-hmm. or coming in from the United States or China, can invest in Nigeria and be able to reap the benefits of their investment. And it's going to be a win-win situation also, because there'll be jobs in Nigeria as well.
Awesome.
And so, also for those who also want to know more about some of what we are about, if they are in the United States, all they have to do is to text Mbonu 19. That's MBONU 19. They'll text it to 41411.
Okay, so let me text that. Let me type that out right now. Yeah. So text more information in the US?
Yeah. In the United States, You then text the phrase Mbonu. Mbonu is MBONU.
2019 or 19?
No, just 19. Yeah, Mbonu 19 to 41411.
Text. And this will give you updates?
Yes, this will give you all the updates, all the details, and all the new information that's coming up by the day.
And that's 41411.
Yes, text 41411 and text the name Mbonu 19 to that number, and we'll be able to send you all the information you need.
Okay. And do you currently have a website?
The website is being held because there's a lot of other things that we are about to do before we unleash it into the public space. So it is being held for a good reason, in order to be able to coordinate it with Nigeria also, because the folks in Nigeria are working very hard on developing the final proposals that we're going to be delivering. And so they should, about another week, they should do the site and they'll be able to find it. But in the meantime, our Facebook page, it's Mbonu 2019.
Facebook page, okay.
Yes, yeah. Mbonu, MBONU 2019, not 19.
2019, got you.
2019, yeah. They do a search for that, or they do a search for my name, okey Mbonu. It will take us into their Facebook page, and they can also engage with us in that.
Got you. So here's a comment I have. You know, our people have gotten so disappointed by some past leadership, and you know, some of the people I invited to come on are like, oh, I don't want to come to any political anything. I don't trust politicians. They've raped the nation. They've done this. They've done that. And why should I even get my hopes up? You know, I mean, these are people maybe in their 50s, 60s, some in their 70s. The younger generation, I'm even trying to get their interest because, again, they have so many things that are getting their attention. So what can you speak to those people? Because they might watch, they might come across this video. I mean, if you can, in a little paragraph, because trust is a major issue. Because we've trusted, and people have actually exercised their right to vote over the years and still are very disappointed.
All right. Yeah. Well, I would say they should get ready for a phenomenon that they've never seen before. I'm not affiliated to Nigerian politicians. I'm not affiliated to any of the big parties that they are aware of. Mm-hmm. So what I'm about is a new brand. The Mbonu 2019 is a brand that they have never seen before. And it's a brand they need to remember. Because by the time we are done in our first 4 years of Nigeria, it will be a phenomenon. We don't have any corruption to worry about. We happen to know that just about every political office holder in Nigeria right now, whether they've been governors or senators, whatever region, north or south, have substantial baggages that they are carrying right now. And all the EFCC needs to do is to dust up the files and you'll see a whole bunch of things. But we are coming in fresh. We are coming in with a brand. We are coming in with first world credentials. Nobody running for office in Nigeria has done what I have done internationally. Okay. I don't have corruption things to worry about. This is a new day. And when we get this rolling, Nigerians are going to see a breath of fresh air. This is a fresh leadership. I am sacrificing a lot to do this because I really did not have to do this. I don't have the desperation that some Nigerian politicians have. I've had a good life. I've enjoyed our adopted home, the United States. I have hung around the best. I've been in the best environments in Washington, D.C. and everywhere else. I have been chauffeured around the limousines when I go on media in the United States. So it's nothing new to me. I am going there to prove that it's doable. And I'm going there because of the embarrassment that we feel when we turn the television in the United States and see gory images of people that are being killed and hands and necks being chopped off and 300 girls being kidnapped or 100 girls being kidnapped under my watch. Nobody's going to show up and kidnap 100 girls or 200 girls of my little ones from whatever environment they're on. There is actually existing technology. I don't want to get into the details, but we have existing technology to be able to stem that. You know, this is a pure failure and lack of political will that a government is in charge of a country and some portions of that country are not under the control of that government. Can you imagine the United States not being in control of California or Texas or New Hampshire? You know, it is unthinkable. It is a failure of high proportions that is really tied to the political will. So I'm not a Nigerian politician. I am a global candidate for the office of the president of Nigeria. And we bring Nigeria up to the global level. I don't need anything from Nigerians. I have lived in the most affluent county in the United States. I have had what might be exciting to the average Nigerian politician. You know, I don't need millions of dollars in personal benefit. I don't need all of that. You know, I can buy myself an SUV if I need to buy an SUV. I don't have to kill 5,000 people to get an SUV. I don't need a 300-room mansion anywhere in the world because I'm saying the best. And what I bring to Nigeria is an opportunity to uplift the country. And when I'm done, whoever else is coming behind me will now build on what we have done, which is lay the foundation for the future of Nigeria.
Awesome. So I have only a few more minutes left. The questions are suddenly pouring in. But if your question was not answered, or maybe it was answered earlier and you're just joining, bear with us. I'm still going to collect all those answers. And we're having a meet and greet in Oakland, California, Jack London Square. I'll send out that information later. But I have a few more very key questions to ask. And, you know, in less than 15 minutes, we'll wrap up because, you know, I know you have so much more to do. We have a question from Wale Adefala. And the question is, what is your plan to cut down on high-positioned government officials, their allowances, and how do you plan to increase transparency and accountability of government spending?
Yeah, well, that's actually the easy part because they have means to track what the government gets in and what leaves the treasury of the government. And so if government revenues are supposed to be a certain amount and all of a sudden fall short because funds have been expended by somebody who is not authorized to spend those, now we'll be able to track that down and there won't be any place to hide. There are laws in the United States and in Europe and the Middle East right now that allow us to go after whatever we need to go after. But for those who have done all these things in the past, we're not really going backwards. We're going forwards. We have opportunity for growth. But we're going to plug all of the leakages. You know, if they already have some 300-room mansion that they built in Nigeria, and you know they want to bury some money in the sewage, as they do sometimes, they can go ahead and spend all that money. We'll make more. We have a great economy coming. But in the new economy that we are developing, you earn your spot. You're not going to dip your hand into the public treasury and carry away $500 million or $100 million or $10 million so you can buy a bunch of SUVs. So we're going to plug all the leakages and we want to make sure that a new civil service culture emerges. Not everybody has to be in government. If you really want to make money badly, you can go be in private business for yourself. Because the same kind of energy you use to devise a scheme, you can use that to make money legitimately. It might just take a little longer. And so we want to make sure that the officials that are part of our government would account for what's coming in and what's going out. The government has appropriations, the government has a budget, and things are spent according to the budget. Now, as far as the compensation that some people in government are taking at this point, especially the National Assembly, so that's been in the news quite a bit lately. We're talking about a group of people who passed laws to pay themselves humongous amount of money that are not applicable to even the richest country in the world. And so we're going to work very closely with the National Assembly to reverse some of the things that are simply unbearable right now. My own government, the seat of power, will be a government that will lead by example. I don't need a billion-naira budget on the state house, for feeding or for whatever. Most of the resources, will go into where they are needed, which will be service delivery to the people. We don't need, I don't have any need for a 300-room mansion, as I said earlier. I don't have any need for 10 or 17 presidential jets. I don't have any need to perhaps spend millions of dollars or taxpayer dollars sending my kids to the best schools in different parts of the world. My kids have the benefit of wanting to go anywhere they want to go anywhere. But in general, we're going to put the resources of Nigeria where the need is. And by the way, we also encourage people to go to our Facebook page to put down some of these comments, some of the questions that they're interested in. Mbonu 2019 at Facebook. Yeah.
So I have another question. This is from Emeka. He says, he wants you to elaborate on your local presence, since you're clearly not entrenched or you live there. So we need to hear how you're going to overcome that. Relate that to almost all national parties in all real democracies started out as regional parties. And are you developing that region, and what are the success stories, and how is this going to become a successful bring you to a successful national stage?
Yeah, well, actually, I do have physical presence in Nigeria because I do spend quite a bit of time in Nigeria these days. I might have access to the United States because part of my life is here, but part of my life is in Nigeria also. And so we have people on the ground that are working and, getting all these reports that we need, to plan our government. And so my presence in Nigeria is as real as my presence in the United States or anywhere else. I'm not coming in as an outsider in Nigeria. I'm coming in with credentials that allow me to run for the president of Nigeria. I meet the standards in every way. As far as the political parties are concerned, because we have an opportunity to build out a national movement, we are not beholden to whatever arrangements or ideologies of any of the existing political parties. In fact, right now, we have had discussions with about 5 different political parties who want to incorporate our ideology to what they have existing, and we are evaluating every single one of them. And at the end of the day, we're coming in with capacity also, because when we roll out our 36 offices across the entire Nigeria and a 37th office in the Diaspora, which already exists in Washington, D.C., we are bringing capacity of tremendous potentials to any political party that's already existing in Nigeria. And so what we end up doing is that we will enlarge our capacity with the limited capacity of some of the political parties or some of the political movements to enhance what they have, but we are bringing solutions to their limitations.
Okay.
And we will do this and do it well.
Got you. Because that's a lot of people have been asking me about that. What is your political party and affiliation? And you haven't decided if you are going to be independent or you're going to join one of the two major parties.
We're gonna be joining a particular party, which would have an understanding that I'm getting involved with our party because I'm running for president and I have the credentials to do it. So I'm not joining the party to be in line among the humongous amount of people who may have it. And so as a result, some of the established Nigerian parties, the two big parties, we're not sure whether they're going to be our vehicle, because there are so many others. There are so many other parties that will bring capacity and the potential for change and the potential to win this race. part of this race is going to be centered around my own candidacy, of course. But I'm not going to run as an independent because the Nigerian legislature has not passed that into law yet. The National Assembly actually passed a bill for independent candidacy, but the president in power at the time did not sign it into law. President Jonathan failed to sign it into law before he left office. But we are going to work with the vehicle of a party, and that party is not going to have the substantial baggages of the same cycle of people that are moving from one party to the other, that do not have principles, whose principles basically revolve around their own self-interest and their own security. Our movement is going to be positioned to perhaps help some of the newer parties, and there's over 40 parties in Nigeria. Some of them have never won national office or state office, but they are there. And what we bring is that we bring capacity, we bring a global capacity to these parties, a capacity that they cannot develop on their own. Remember, we're coming in with global credentials here to support from all over the world, especially from what I call the 37 states of Nigeria, which is the diaspora. The diaspora is actually 37 states, and it's a state that puts in more in Nigeria than it takes out. And with every right that every person in Nigeria has, the diasporans have it as well, just that they are physically removed. And so my presence in Nigeria is continuous, and we continue to roll this out, but we encourage people to join our movement because it is a movement. It's a movement to take the soul of Nigeria. It's a movement to take back our country. It is a movement to have a say in how our country evolves and develops. If we have to go back to Stone Age, then we have to have a say in the matter. You know, we have to say, no, we don't like good things. We don't like electricity. We don't like sewage systems. We don't like green spaces. We want to go back to the caves. Let us have that say. Let us say we want to go back to the caves. And I guarantee you that about 200 million Nigerians are not going backwards. They don't want to go back to the caves. They don't want to go back to life without electricity. They don't want to reinvent the wheel. They want to move forward. That's the opportunity that we bring.
Gotcha. So I have another question. And this question is, it says, what do you plan to do about restructuring and deregulation of the systems that have advanced much of the Western world? And these systems have held back Nigeria.
Well, as far as restructuring, we are studying that, and we are well aware that some of the issues that are leading to this cause of restructuring are really somewhat economic.
Yeah.
Now, when a different Nigeria emerges, where somebody from Sokoto State can go do business in Akwa Ibom, and somebody from Akwa Ibom can go do business in Maiduguri, everybody gets the benefits. Everybody gets the benefits of the new Nigeria we are about to build. It's going to be a new nation where people are going to excel based on their various talents and capacities. And we're not necessarily also going to say that because people don't have talent or capacity that they cannot enjoy the new Nigeria. It's going to be a Nigeria where even people who don't have the talent or capacity can be somehow molded into the national psyche. And there's going to be a reorientation process, even from the elementary school level, you know, whereby the strong will have to carry the weak along. And what we bring are going to be solutions that make people feel less marginalized and solutions that give people direct benefits. If everybody's enjoying 24 hours capacity, it doesn't matter whether they live in Maiduguri or whether they live in Lagos or whether they live in Akwa Ibom or whether they live in Port Harcourt. You know, all they know is that they're enjoying the benefits of 24 hours of electricity.
Yeah.
Water resources that also would enhance their lives as individuals and as communities, regardless of where they live. So we are willing to look further as we go along, but we understand that some of these things are ultimately economic.
Gotcha. So I've got a couple more questions. This is from, her name is Chichi Jack. And like I said, she's already involved in politics, local politics here, just like you were in the DC area. And she says, when are you going to announce your candidacy in Nigeria? And her sister is very much involved in politics back home. She hasn't heard of you yet. And she also has some American Democratic Party members that were asking about you during the convention in San Diego last month. How can we help you?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that Chichi and perhaps many other millions of people are interested in helping. Yeah, the first thing will be to, if they are in the United States, they should send a text to that information that I put out earlier, 41411, and text Mbonu 19.
Okay.
And they will be getting all the information as it comes up, and then they could also declare their interest in being a part of the campaign.
Okay.
Or they could go to our Facebook page, which should be Mbonu 2019 on Facebook, and they will have opportunity to put comments and leave their information. We're going to be getting back to them. Or they could simply do a search for my name, San okey Mbonu, and they will find other resources and other information. And they can tell their friends, relatives, and family members in Nigeria or the United States, across the world, that there's a new candidate that is not tied to the corrupt status quo in Nigeria, who's going to bring the needed solution to Nigeria's problems. And then also, when they speak to their American friends in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or any party, they should tell them a little bit about this great opportunity that we are bringing. Because what we are doing also, we want to make Nigeria less of a burden to the rest of the world and more of a net contributor to the world. Okay. We don't necessarily want to have insecurity situations that turn away investors or that create a refugee crisis in Nigeria and West Africa. As a matter of fact, if this situation in Nigeria is not contained between now and the next 2 years or less, if a refugee crisis starts in Nigeria, it will overwhelm all of West Africa, because we're talking about 200 million people, where every other region of Nigeria is 10 or 20 million people. So we need to take charge of this situation and take back the country before the country slides further back into chaos.
Gotcha. So I have a question from Sarah, and it's a similar question that AJ asked on the Facebook Live feed. And the question is, to deny the depth of the influence of the cabals is naive. So keeping in mind how deep-rooted the lot is in government and government agencies, what countermeasures do you think will work in neutralizing their power in the affairs of the country?
Okay, we're talking about the corrupt officials?
The political cabals, yes.
Oh, political. Okay.
You know, who have been entrenched for years and refuse to let go.
well, you know, one of the best things about this campaign is actually that we don't have ties to the status quo that exists today, because there's a politics of settlement, of carrying along the people who are part of your circle. And we don't have that because we are not beholden to the people that have been in government over the past 20 years, 30 years maybe. Now, some of them are not terrible people, but they just did not know any better. And some of them are more corrupt than others. But even the ones that are marginally corrupt and the ones that are seriously corrupt, we don't have ties to them. We have not taken money from any of these people. We do not have the proverbial godfathers and godmothers in that space. What we have is a global campaign where every Nigerian in every part of the globe can contribute and be a stakeholder, whether they contribute their resources or they contribute their energy and their passion. Because as they contribute these things, it will become obvious that we don't need to go to the so-called godfathers in Nigeria to ask for millions of naira to prosecute our campaign. We will get resources from all of us together, working together to do this. And because we're not beholden to them, we are not going to be in the culture of settling people and robbing Peter to pay Paul and compromising instead of building a bridge. We want to give someone $100 million because he gave us $80 million as a campaign contribution. We don't have that to deal with in Nigeria. So we are not beholden. We're going in there with solutions as solution providers. And that's why this represents the best opportunity for the forward movement of Nigeria.
Okay. So I have a question. This is from AJ. She says she didn't hear you say when you're planning to announce your candidacy in Nigeria.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to be in Nigeria in a couple of weeks from now. We just spent a little bit of time in the U.S. mopping up a few things. And in the next 30 days, there will be a major announcement in Nigeria. We would like to keep people like easier posted on that by having her text us that information to 41411 and the phrase Mbonu 19. Or she can get on our Facebook, Mbonu 2019 on Facebook. And as we do that, we will keep her and everyone else posted. But we want to keep the rest of the world noticed that something is coming down the pike. And in the next 30 days or less, perhaps 2 to 3 weeks from now, we're going to be having a major event in Abuja and Lagos, which will be covered worldwide by the global media and the Nigerian media. And that's when we're going to be making formal announcements of our presence in Nigeria. So she can bear with us for another couple of weeks, and she will have that. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up very soon, but some quick details. You're currently in Southern California. You have meetings right now, and then you're going to be in Northern California, Bay Area, on Saturday, March 24th. That's in Jack London Square in Oakland from 11:30 to 1:30, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So if you're in the Bay Area and you're watching this, you're listening, or you know people who might be interested in learning more and asking more, or meeting perhaps our future president of Nigeria, who seems to be saying what we want to hear, but you really want to really know if he's a man of his word or just doing what the past leaders have done to us. This is your opportunity if you're in the Bay Area to stop by the meet and greet. I'll send information out as well, so keep your eye glued on the page. I'll send information out about Saturday. And I think you're going to Vegas, correct, after that?
Yes, after our trip to the Bay Area on Saturday, the 24th, we're going to be in Las Vegas, the 25th. We're going to be at the Wayne Hotel. I'm actually being hosted by former U.S. presidential candidate, Herman Cain. We have a lunch there, and we encourage folks who are in the Las Vegas area to come up to interact with us on my campaign team. Yeah, but we're looking forward to a great outing in Northern California as well. When we come out there to the Bay Area, we're looking forward to seeing everyone and interacting with everyone, and hopefully having everyone take stake in the campaign. And everyone needs to remember that we're not working with godfathers in Nigeria, and so you are our godfathers and godmothers and god sisters and god brothers and god sons and god cousins. You are the heart and soul of this campaign. We're expecting you to take stake in this campaign and to do everything that needs to be done to bring Nigeria out of the hole.
Okay. So you've heard it. We've had a little bit over an hour. Sorry about the little technical issue we had earlier, but it seems like we were able to push through. We had a lot of questions, a lot of different people texted in their questions, live chatted their questions. Those that I couldn't answer, or maybe you thought it wasn't answered, if you watch from the beginning, you probably will see that your questions were addressed. And if not, if you're in the Bay Area again, you have an opportunity to meet him in person on Saturday. And if you're not able to, just send your questions and we'll make sure that those questions are addressed. And his Facebook page is Mbonu 2019. And you can text to get updates, Mbonu 19 to 41411, correct?
Yeah. Text 41411 and put the name Mbonu 19, and you will be in our database. You get all the information and all the updates, send questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We all love Nigeria. We want that country to live up to its fullest potential, regardless of wherever most Nigerians are. We do work very hard, and we try to be good ambassadors of our country. Yes, there are a few rotten eggs here and there, just like in any culture, but most of the Nigerians that I know are outstanding human beings, whether they're business people, whether they're in politics, whether they're working in offices or in corporate America. I've come to find out that wherever we are, we do our best to uphold a certain level of decency. And I'm hoping that that's what you're going to bring to the office, because we need decency in that office, and honesty, and cutting back on the corruption from the gates man to the guy at the top. We really need to, it's just time. It really is. So thank you so much for.
Thank you.